In a past video, I talked about the challenges of being a social worker. So I don't think it's correct for me to just talk about the challenges when there are very clearly benefits and positives as well of being a social worker in Australia. So today I'm gonna talk a little bit about these benefits. So first and foremost, one of the biggest rewards of being a social worker in Australia is the opportunity to make real positive and lasting impact in people's lives. Whether it comes to you helping find safe housing for someone, or maybe supporting a child through family challenges, interpersonal dynamics, or maybe guiding individuals through their mental health journey to recovery and betterment, your work directly contributes to the well-being of people and the future of the community. It's a career where your daily actions can empower others and create lasting change. It can create a stronger sense of community and camaraderie. You also are in a position where, because of your work, you're able to rally for and promote, lobby for social policy and social justice and issues that really matter on a collective level. And that sense of purpose that comes and the knowledge that your efforts truly matter, I think can be incredibly fulfilling and also create a significant amount of intrinsic motivation, which will make you want to go to work every day, and also it'll keep you encouraged and motivated every single day. Another great benefit is that as a social worker, there's very high demand for your role, especially in the skilled occupation list. So that means that there's consistent demand across Australia. Not just in the cities, but especially in rural, regional, remote areas where the population is less, it's harder to get to. That's where demand is especially significant. So what is the skilled occupation list in Australia? It's good to also clarify what that is. That is basically a list of jobs that are high in demand across the entire country. And if your profession is on the list, then it means that the country needs more workers in that particular field. Australia has basically had social work on that field for on that list for quite a while, and it means that you may also be able to apply, or you may be eligible for a skilled visa. And this list basically helps the government bring in skilled workers from overseas to fill gaps in the workforce. So for quite a few years it has been social work, and I think it might still be on the list in the years to come, especially after COVID. The need for community supports was evident, and this is why I think the demand for social work also was evident. Another benefit is obviously job security. A lot of the social work jobs are based in government and non-profit sectors. So this offers stable employment. Many roles are funded for long-term durations, especially in healthcare, in education, community services. So when you get your social work job, you'll see that very often it's a permanent position that they offer you straight up, which means that you are there pretty much indefinitely, unless and until maybe you decide to resign, and that's where you give normally your 4 weeks notice. And it's very rare that they would request you to leave the role. Another positive of being a social worker in Australia is that there's a variety of fields you can work in. You can work in mental health, you can work in child protection, you can work in aged care, you can work in refugee services, you can work with Aboriginal and Indigenous communities, you can work in schools and hospitals. There's a wide array of areas that you can work in. So if one area maybe you feel a little bit tired of working there, there's definitely other avenues you can turn to where you can still practice social work and utilize similar skills but in different dynamics. So this will keep the work exciting when you're switching over to different fields of practice, and it'll keep things a little bit novel. So this is a great benefit, being able to switch over to different fields of practice. And I also think that being able to switch across different fields of practice kind of widens your vision of the scope of social work, and you kind of see how much there is to learn. Another good point of being a social worker is that you have pretty good salaries at the entry level. Social workers at the entry level earn a pretty good amount. However, as I talked about in my challenges video of being a social worker, each collective jump up in your position as a social worker. I'd say the salary is fairly incremental. However, if you're working at a starting position, the salary is quite good. So adding to this point is the benefit of salary packaging. And basically, this is very common in the non-profit sector and the public sector in Australia. So when you salary package, this basically means that you reduce your taxable income, and this results in more take-home pay. So salary packaging basically in Australia means that you get part of your salary in benefits instead of cash. And this can help you pay less tax. For example, you might use it to pay for a laptop or a car, or maybe your living expenses like rent or meals with your pre-tax dollars. So it's common in jobs like healthcare, non-for-profit, where employers offer this to help your money go further. And you will see that when you start working in the field, you can opt for salary packaging. Most people tend to do that. And once you kind of get your first few pay slips, you'll kind of understand and you'll see how the salary packaging concept works. But in simple terms, it just results in more take-home pay. Another positive point of being a social worker in Australia is that you have recognition of qualifications. So if you're qualified overseas, especially from countries like India, you can apply for the AASW assessment to gain professional recognition. So AASW is the accrediting social work body in Australia, and they will basically obviously have their accreditation standards. So once you meet them, whatever documents they need, and once that's approved, you're able to work as a qualified social worker in Australia. Another benefit is that as a social worker, there's plenty of opportunities for professional development. And Australia has quite a heavy emphasis on continuous professional development, and this is known as CPD across various industries, and social work is actually one of them. And basically, this means that professionals are encouraged and in many cases even required to actively engage in ongoing learning to maintain and advance their skills and also enhance their skills. This commitment to professional development ensures that the workers are staying up to date with the latest knowledge and best practices and industry standards. So there are always numerous training opportunities provided by your workplace, by your employers. They could be webinars, they could be online certificates, they could be industry conferences, they could be short-term workshops, and many professional bodies like the AASW provide professional development programs tailored to specific fields. So employers in Australia will often support the professional development through funding, even study leave, which is when you get leave just to study for this professional development. And also they provide some flexible work arrangements so that you can work on your professional development. So this focus on lifelong learning not only benefits individuals by boosting their career prospects and confidence. So this will, as a social worker, boost your career prospects, but it also strengthens the workforce collectively in terms of them being able to meet industry standards and also be up to date with the best practices. Also options to specialize. So you can also not just be a social worker, but you can be maybe a mental health social worker, which requires, I think AASW requires that you do a certain number of hours working in the mental health to be a mental health social worker. But basically you have opportunities to work in specializations. So an example is also policy, research, management, clinical practice. So there's a lot of specializations you can do. So when we are talking about being able to work in different fields of practice, you can also specialize, which means that you will find your niche and you can be highly skilled in this particular area. So this is another great aspect of being able to be a social worker. There's not only a great breadth of what you can do, but also a great depth of what you can do. If you are from a culturally and linguistically diverse background, you also have the opportunity to interact with clients who are from multicultural backgrounds. Australia, as we know, is a very multicultural country, and social workers get to engage with people from diverse backgrounds, and this is great for enhancing your cross-cultural skills enhancing your cultural knowledge, and also being able to build empathy on a much deeper level. And a final benefit of being a social worker is that there's a pathway to permanent residency. Social work is a pathway to permanent residency through various skilled visas, which includes the 189, 190, and 491. And also there's state sponsorship. So adding to this, several states in Australia sponsor social workers, especially if they work in regional areas. So there's good opportunities to get to settle down in Australia as a social worker. So this is basically a wrap of my video of the benefits of being a social worker in Australia. I hope that this video was insightful and helpful, and I'll see you around. Thanks. Bye.